we're going to call the December 19th work session for the Hamilton County Department of Education to order. And next we will have delegations. Mr. King, will you read the statement for us?
Yes. For those speaking, we'll read this for all of you. Thank you for your interest in addressing the Hamilton County Board of Education. During your presentation, please address the board as a whole, not individual board members or administrators. Also, please do not present complaints or concerns that you have about an individual employee of the school system. If you wish to voice those complaints or concerns, please contact the central office and ask for a meeting with the superintendent, since the superintendent is the sole responsible person for individual employees. Please limit your remarks to 5 minutes. We'll have a clock going, and I will tell you when you have 1 minute left. And we are ready to start. We have 9 on the schedule. So our first speaker, Lindsay Lynn.
Good evening, school board members. I appreciate you taking your time to hear my speech about the career exploration class offered at a District 7 middle school. I'm bringing positive awareness to this class that my son took at his middle school during the first quarter and want to speak about how much we appreciate this class. First, let's understand what this class is. Per the Hamilton County Schools website, middle school career exploration gives young learners a starting point in defining their interests and testing career paths. Per a Hamilton County teacher who has taught this course, explained that this course is an introduction to real-life exploration of careers through partnerships with the community. They also worked on practical skills like resumes. It is noted around 73% of states identify middle school career exploration as a vital part of education. Research indicates that introducing this class can significantly benefit students by helping them make informed post-secondary decisions and build confidence in their future goals. Therefore, I am very thankful that you all offer this course and plant the seed for success for our students and their future. My son took this class and would like to speak about it by me asking him a few questions. Can you step up?
Yes.
What was your favorite part about this class?
All part of the different possibilities I could do in this class. It was so much fun. There was different pathways I could take. There was so much I could do. I wish I could do everything in it.
What did you learn that was new or interesting?
I wanted to be an engineer from starting off, just like my dad, but I learned about one of the jobs in career exploration is occupational therapy, where I like to socialize with other people who have disabilities.
And what do you feel you want to make with this career choice?
I want to help other people with other disabilities that interest me.
And did you think there were any improvements that this class needed?
No, everything is perfectly fine. That's the way it is.
Overall, a lot of parents and teachers are very excited to see this class, and it's been phenomenal for him, because that wasn't even a career choice as us as parents had thought about, because engineering, you hear that, like, that's great, but he got introduced to occupational therapy, and as you all know, I'm a strong advocate for people with disabilities, so when I hear my son say this to help people that are like his brother, it was amazing. So thank you for planting that seed, Hamilton County. And then you wait, because they may have questions. Do you have any questions? No?
I do.
Sure, go ahead.
What's a recent project that you worked on?
Oh, what did you work on in the class?
Career clusters. There were different types of career clusters that we were assigned to with different groups.
And what were you assigned to?
Do you remember?
I can't remember. It was from last quarter, so.
It's been a while.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you for coming to share that with us. As a mom and as a student, it's really good always to hear from our students about what they're liking that we do, and especially at his age, the exposure. So
Yeah, and just so you guys know, he's a sixth grader. So this in sixth grade is huge for him to already have like a career path potentially set for him. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
All right, our second speaker, Reed Hampton.
Good afternoon. My name is Reed Hampton. I'm a student at Signal Mountain Middle High School. I'm a junior, and at school I'm a full IB student, a student athlete, a musician, a Model UN delegate, a youth and government participant, and a student activist in the community. I also have an IEP, which is an individualized education plan allowing me to receive services in the gifted program at our school. Our state has tried vouchers despite widespread opposition and failure. And while I have many issues with the school voucher program, the biggest by far is their discriminatory nature when it comes to IEP students. Private schools can accept students on any metric they want, and conversely, they can turn away students on any metric they want, including having an IEP. And they are not required to follow the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or the IDEA, meaning if they admit students with an IEP, private schools are not required to respect an IEP or provide resources for students. Our valuable public schools provide resources such as our dedicated teachers and advisors who serve students with IEPs and ensure all of our needs are met. My advisor, Ms. Whitney, serves a crucial role in my education, assisting with Model UN and youth and government, as well as serving as a teacher for gifted students. IEPs, however, do exist on a spectrum, and there are many students who are neurodivergent and need more help in the classroom, often from a teacher who is in charge of only them. These special education professionals provide invaluable assistance to students with disabilities and serve as a critical part of our education system. However, this does cost significant amounts of money that the IDEA does not require private schools to spend, and this can hurt the IEP students who are admitted into private schools. And while we have many excellent private schools with programs that do support students with IEPs, they are not required to do so due to current regulatory rules. This causes an issue where private schools get more money for students than public schools do, and then leave students who need more help in public schools with less money to provide resources for them. Further, the IDEA itself never received full funding at the federal level, and the TISA does not fully cover the actual cost of serving our students with the most significant needs. A medically fragile student is funded less than $20,000 per year, despite the actual cost being upwards of $40,000. Without funding for teachers like Ms. Whitney, who I visit at least 3 times a week, including twice today, my educational and extracurricular achievements would suffer notably. In fact, students all across the county who depend on people like Mrs. Whitney and perform well in academics and testing would suffer without the assistance and support of our advisors. It is likely that metrics that help us measure the return on investment for our students, such as test scores, would suffer when students are not provided the resources they need to succeed academically. As the elected representatives charged with making decisions for every school-age student in the county, you are obligated to serve all students, including those with IEPs, and ensure that our public funds go supporting our communities and schools, ensuring our students have the resources they need to excel in the classroom. This is why, as an activist, a public school student, and an IEP holder, I am asking for you to please not support the school voucher program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? All right, thank you, Reed.
I have a comment.
Well spoken.
Hopefully I live long enough to vote for that gentleman for governor.
Thank you, sir.
how do I follow that?
Good evening and happy holidays. I come before you this evening to express the concerns that our educators have regarding the expansion of the voucher program, and I am respectfully asking you for your full support in the resolution to urge our legislators to refrain from expanding this initiative. To assist in this, I've shared with you a document outlining the reasons that we believe vouchers are not a beneficial choice for our community. Vouchers are not about increasing school choice. We already have ample school choice here in Hamilton County, thanks to the hard work and collaboration between the district and board. We've already made great strides in ensuring our community's educational opportunities are robust and accessible. Supporting the expansion of the voucher program would send a message that the public schools you were elected to support and protect are not worthy of the resources and attention they need. Our educators are asking you to stand in solidarity with the public schools you represent. We ask that you oppose any efforts that would undermine the strength and viability of our public schools. It is imperative that you take a united stand to safeguard the funding we so desperately need, as was just expressed, and to show the community that public schools are worthy of your commitment and support. I urge you to consider the long-term ramifications of this bill on Hamilton County Public Schools. While it may be stated that funding will not decrease, that is no guarantee for the future. Our funding is tied to student enrollment numbers, and any loss in those numbers will directly impact our budget. Additionally, supporting vouchers sends a discouraging message to our educators, undermining their value and making it harder to recruit and retain qualified professionals. If our educators are not valued, why would they choose to work here or stay here when they could go elsewhere? An unfunded promise of a one-time $2,000 bonus won't cut it. Based on years of watching this movement and speaking with teachers in states where vouchers have been implemented, I can confidently tell you that they do not improve education. In fact, they primarily harm public schools by diverting essential funds. Our schools are not failing, regardless of what a single test may suggest or the state report card that came out. I do not believe any of you would stand here today and label any of your schools as failures that should be closed. The message that this voucher bill sends is that the public schools are failing. This narrative is pushed by those who stand to profit from our children's education, not by the public school parents or communities who benefit from strong public schools. If you were to ask the public school parents in your district about their satisfaction with their schools, I believe they would give their school an A or B, not an F. If they are dissatisfied, they already have the option to choose another school within Hamilton County. As public school board members, your mandate is to act in the best interest of our students and to ensure that our public schools continue to provide the best education possible. Supporting this voucher bill is not in the best interest of our students, as it puts our funding and the quality of our schools at risk. It also sends the message that you believe our schools are failing and are gladly opening the door for families to leave. Regardless of your personal beliefs, your role as school board member is to work together to protect the future of Hamilton County public school students and Hamilton County public schools. You were not elected to advocate for private schools in any way. Your focus must be on ensuring that our public schools remain strong, well-funded, and effective for the benefits of all our students. I urge you to vote in support of this resolution unanimously. Show our parents, students, and staff that you value public education in Hamilton County. Demonstrate that you take your responsibilities as protectors of public schools seriously, and that you will stand united against anything that threatens the well-being of the schools you were elected to represent. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jesse Kleckner. Hoping I got that right.
You did. Thank you. Hi, I'm Jessie Kleckner. I am not here to talk about vouchers, but rather a different challenge that I see in our school and also just, quite frankly, across the country. My children, to set the stage for you, I have 3 children in elementary school. We live on Signal Mountain and they're at Thrasher. So I have a 3rd grader, I have a second grader, and I have a kindergartner. And let me just go ahead and say, we love Thrasher. We feel so privileged to be at school there. We love the staff. We love the teachers. I feel fantastic that my kids are in school there. But I want to share this challenge with you through a couple stories of personal experience. So having a third grader at Thrasher with one-to-one devices, as the county has given to students, means that my third grader has her own Chromebook at school. And my second grader, who's 7, also has her own Chromebook at school. And had I signed the paper at the beginning of the school year, they could bring those computers home, but I chose not to. So they only get to use these computers at school. About 8 or 6 weeks ago, my third grader in school, her classmates, they were all on their Chromebooks. And a little boy who was 8 typed the word butts into a web browser, and it got past a firewall. So adult human butts showed up on the screen. And there were at least 6 students that saw this before finally a mature student went to the teacher and said, there are butts on this screen. And if you're curious what the butts were, you can search them and you will see what my 9-year-old daughter saw on a computer at school. Last night, my second grader, we were just sort of going over the day, and she told me that they were playing games on this website called coolmathgames.com, and an ad popped up. And this ad was a drawn woman in a bikini, bent over backwards, farting. And this was an ad that popped up on my daughter's Chromebook at school. And while that story is not as egregious, I would say that I can say that's okay, funny, haha. It's not okay. Our children have way too much access to the internet at school. I can't find a way to think that a third grader and a second grader have any need to be on the internet at school. In fact, I can say yes, middle school and high school, absolutely. The world that we live in, they need to know how to use computers effectively. But I don't think a third grader needs to be proficient on a computer. If you want to teach them how to type, I think that's fantastic. If you want to teach them how to research a paper on a safe encyclopedia app that has no ads, great, let's do it. But to give children the keys to the internet when they're 9, 7, 10, they're not mature. And you can say all day long, don't look up butts, but guess what they're going to? My kids at home, their first choice, if they have the Alexa and I'm not in hearing distance, they're going to play butt cheeks on the Alexa. Like, that is a child. That's what they're going to do. And it's not these kids' fault. It's not the 8-year-old's fault that he typed butts in. It's not the teacher's fault. She has 24 students in her classroom. My understanding of the policy as it exists is that if students are on the internet at school, they're supposed to be supervised. That is physically impossible to supervise 24 screens at a time. And my understanding is that when kids get to 4th grade, the class size goes up to 30. On Signal Mountain, we have more and more people moving to our community, and these classrooms are going to be full. There is no way that teachers can supervise 30 computers of 8, 9, 10-year-old. It's just not going to happen. So a couple ideas I have. One, can we get rid of the internet for these babies? They don't need it. Don't take the tech out of the classroom. Let the teachers continue to have tech. Have computers so that if there are safe ways that they can access information, but they don't need to be on websites like Cool Math Games, because they're not math games. In fact, I would love for our school to get rid of IXL in general and all these other things so that their kids are coming home and doing homework on screens. I think study after study is showing that screens are bad for our students. And we have rules at home, but we can't implement those at school because the students are allowed full access to these computers at school. Another idea I have is there a possible way where we could even create a couple pilot classes where maybe 4th graders, a couple teachers say, I'm willing to do it without the tech this year, and see if behavior is better, see if test scores are better. And one last thing, you guys have our children take iReady tests, and I don't know if you know this, but at the end of these exams that they're doing on the computers, there are games. So the children are incentivized to click through as quickly as they can to get to the games at the end of the test. And then those test scores determine how many kids go into RTI. And at the beginning of the school year, over 50 students in the 1st grade were in RTI based on these test scores. There's only 100 students in the 1st grade. That's half the class.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Kleckner, I'm sorry that, some of the children in our school were subject to that. As a parent, I get it. I think Justin, you and I talked about this, and we had a conversation, and we met with the director of IT, and there's things we're doing well, but there's maybe things that we can improve upon. And the reality is the public education system is hugely complex. I mean, there's 40,000 plus kids in the system. So the ability to have a voice like you that's concerned from a parental perspective is extremely valuable. So I think for us, there's a great opportunity for us to really look more holistically at how we're approaching technology and can kind of continue to have this conversation, because there's so many far-reaching implications about usage. And I know it's a big conversation, right? It's hard to tackle in one agenda session on a board meeting on a Thursday night, but it's something that's worthwhile to take on and have a discussion as a nonpartisan type of conversation. So I appreciate you being here and voicing your concern.
Thank you.
And the other side we have to look at, it's the way things are now. A textbook costs almost twice as much as an online program that we do. So taxpayers' money, budget, a lot of that governs this. It's also in this day and age, and I didn't know that about the iReady and the games, but I know kids are stimulated by visual things, and they're more apt to pay attention on a science video than in a science book. So that's another dilemma that we have. We have to try to find the good and the bad out of both, but I was not aware of a couple of those things you said, so thank you.
Did you know the kids can get on YouTube?
They can, I mean.
It's not like they're sneaking around. They just have access to YouTube. I have about the textbooks. When you take in the cost of replacing broken Chromebooks and replacing the technology every couple of years, does it still end up being cheaper to have a Chromebook?
Wait, yeah.
Okay.
We'd have to look.
Okay.
We'd have to look at that. But thank you. Appreciate your concern.
Ms. Haddon?
And I was just going to say, I think maybe a policy meeting in the spring would be a good time to, discuss it among ourselves. That would be an appropriate time. And maybe we can get a little research on it by then.
Mr. Ryan Jenkins.
You skip one.
Oh, did I? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ryan. Could you have Ms. Rebecca Day?
Hey, everybody. I'm here to talk about the ESS contract. Tennessee law makes it clear that we have a duty to protect children and ensure that the people working in our schools meet the highest moral and professional standards. Yet here we are outsourcing this sacred responsibility to a company that has repeatedly failed our community. Under Tennessee law, an educator can be dismissed for conduct unbecoming to a member of the teaching profession, including acts of immorality. And yet, under the ESS contract, we have seen substitute teachers placed in classrooms who are not properly vetted, who do not meet professional standards, and who in some cases may pose a risk to the students. Under these criteria, if ESS had done 5 minutes of social media research, that would have disqualified the substitute at Saudi Daisy. This isn't just a failure of ESS, it's a failure of this administration. This administration has a track record of failing to enforce the law, uphold moral principles, and prioritize the well-being of Hamilton County students. In the 2021-2022 school year, Hamilton County Schools paid ESS more than $4.1 million for its services, and this number is publicly available on the hamiltoncounty.org website. This amount is double the $2 million budgeted for the substitutes in fiscal year 2022. Also, between 2020 and 2022, the district paid ESS an astronomical $6.68 million according to the voucher list, which you guys need to review. These taxpayer dollars are being funneled to a company with little to show for it except for glaring failures in hiring practices. What has the community received in return? A vendor that, based on testimony of current substitutes, cuts corners during hiring and performs mediocre background checks, which subsequently leaves Hamilton County Public School children vulnerable. Hiring internally would not only save money, but would also ensure our district maintains control over the process, aligning hiring decisions with the community's values and needs. Wilson County ended their contract with ES&S because of stuff, and they hire internally now. Let me emphasize this. It took the bravery of a child this year and a school employee last year, armed only with a cell phone, to reveal what was happening inside the classroom. Had they not spoken up, the administration would have swept this under the rug, and parents would have been none the wiser. Let that sink in for those who want a 100% ban on cell phones. If not for a cell phone, we wouldn't even know about this. And what does that tell us? It tells us this system is broken. It tells us that transparency and accountability are non-existent. And it tells us that this administration does not prioritize parental rights. They already knew about what this lady talked about before because we've discussed this, that the internet is accessible to these kids. So here we go again. If our schools were doing their job, prioritizing transparency and accountability, parents wouldn't have to rely on covert pictures to uncover truth. This is a failure of oversight leadership and the administration's duty to uphold the principles of Hamilton County residents, because this school system does not set the tone on what's morally acceptable. The community does. Parents have a God-given right to know who's in their children's classroom. They have a right to demand that those individuals are held to the highest standards of professionalism and morality. And when this administration signed a contract with ESS, it appears they have once again forfeited the trust of parents and the safety of students in favor of an outsourced fix. The solution is very straightforward.
1 minute.
Terminate the contract with ESS. They have failed this community more than once and cannot be trusted. Move to an internal hiring system. We need substitutes who are vetted locally, trained to meet our standards and align with the values of Hamilton County, and demand accountability from this administration. This isn't just about ESS, it's about the school system's failure when valid concerns were already raised in 2023. This board has a choice to make. Will you continue to allow the school system to prioritize this vendor over safety and well-being of the children, or will you take action to begin to restore parental trust and protect students? Parents shouldn't have to rely on courage and cell phones and whistleblowers to know their children are safe at school. We deserve a school system that supports transparency, accountability, and above all, parental rights. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rebecca, sorry I had skipped your name there. Now, Ryan Jenkins.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Jenkins, and I'm a junior at Sally Daisy High School. I'm in attendance today to address an issue affecting the entire Sally Daisy community, one that could potentially lead to confusion across all Hamilton County communities. Recently, the elementary school I attended, Soddy Elementary, decided to change its mascot and mascot name after close to 2 decades of being the Soddy Lakers. This decision was based off of input from a very small fraction of students and administration, taking in essentially no input from alumni, current and past teachers and faculty, and community stakeholders. So unfortunately, this decision was made with minimal community input. Last week, the school offered voting options on Facebook, but did not facilitate broader community feedback. I do not think Facebook is the proper channel to convey such a significant change, as the whole school community is not active on the school's Facebook page. Attempts to provide input were met with responses indicating it was too late to make changes. The school has now announced the new mascot and plans to implement the change in August of 2025. This is when I ask myself what prevents every school from handling this process the same way, and is this something that can be done as often as they please? In reviewing existing policies, the closest I found was policy number 3.210, which pertains specifically to naming and renaming physical school buildings. This policy outlines criteria for decision-making and the formation of a committee to oversee such projects and renamings. However, it does not address the process for changing school mascots. Given the lack of guidance in this situation, I propose that policy 3.210 be amended to include protocols for changing school mascots. If amending the existing policy is not feasible, I recommend the development of a new policy to guarantee that future decisions regarding school mascots will be guided by specific procedures. This will help schools and communities avoid the confusion and frustration we have experienced due to the absence of such policy. Thank you. I appreciate you all listening and communicating with me about this.
Thank you very much. Esther Mirage? Say it. Miragi. Thank you very much.
So, thank you. I'm here to speak up as a concerned parent for myself and also for some other friends on our children. I feel like we send them to school so that they can be taught how to read, do math, learn true science and true history, and not be swayed by the experimental agendas. It should be obvious to the public, to the board and the ESS as they hire, just by the ban that Tennessee passed and banning minors from being medical procedures from being performed on minors to change the agenda, which the Supreme Court upheld. And it's not that we are against transgender people or anything like that, but we send our children to school to learn, not to be swayed. And when they are in elementary school, especially junior high, they're struggling with their identity, and they don't need to have questions or questionable teachers in front of them. So, like, you know, I just wonder, like, if you are a cook, you know, you have to wear a hairnet to hold your hair so it doesn't get in food. Is there a code also for teachers? If you're a male teacher, dress like a male. If you're a female teacher, dress like a female. What you do at home or away, it's your own thing. But when you're teaching our children, we pay you to teach professionally and not to be there to push an agenda, but to be there to teach them. That was most of my concern. And also concern about the ESS and the hiring. Like, it should reflect what also the community reflects, you know? I also know that President-elect Trump has also promised that he will withhold federal funds from schools that practice DEI. And so I want us to be aware that as parents, that we know this, and so we will be watching and be concerned about what the Hamilton County School Board does and how they uphold those values. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Kathy Lennon. Welcome back to the board area.
Good evening, members of the Hamilton County School Board. My name is Kathy Lennon. I served as a member on this board from 2016 to 2020, and I'm here as a former educator of 25 years, a grandparent to a student currently enrolled in a Hamilton County school, the wife of a dedicated teacher, an aunt to many nieces and nephews that attend Hamilton County schools. I want to thank each of you for being servant leaders and for your commitment to our students, families, and educators. I am here to ask you to join the 86 other districts in Tennessee by passing a resolution against school vouchers. Voucher programs drain critical funding from public schools. Every student who leaves Hamilton County schools with a voucher takes their state per pupil with them. But the fixed costs of operating our schools, like teacher salaries, building maintenance, and transportation, do not decrease. Rural schools in Kentucky faced budget cuts of up to 20% when voucher programs were implemented. In Arizona, public schools lost an average of $300,000 in state funding, even though they still educated 92% of students. Arizona's voucher program ballooned from $65 million in 2022 to $738 million in 2024. Forcing cuts to essential services like transportation, exceptional and special education programs, and many extracurricular programs that students desperately need. If a new voucher bill passes in Tennessee, Hamilton County schools could face similar financial strains, leading to larger class sizes, cuts to extracurricular programs, and fewer resources for students. When public schools lose funding, teachers are directly affected. Budget shortfalls force schools to reduce staff, freeze salaries, or cut professional development workshops. A voucher program would worsen Tennessee's teacher shortage by increasing class sizes and straining remaining staff. Arizona underfunded public schools were left to educate most students while facing teacher shortages and inadequate support. Our teachers deserve better. Public schools are the heart of the community. They bring people together, provide jobs, and support families. Vouchers threaten this by draining resources. In Arizona, voucher growth led to a $1.4 billion budget deficit, forcing cuts to housing, infrastructure, and scholarships for low-income college students. We cannot allow this damage to occur in Tennessee. Protecting public schools means protecting our community. As you consider the future of our public schools, remember that each of you was elected to serve the students, teachers, and families of Hamilton County schools. Your role is to ensure our public schools thrive as places of opportunity and excellence for all children. Public education is a cornerstone of our community. It's where students of all backgrounds come together to learn, grow, and build a brighter future. School vouchers do not align with this mission. These programs redirect critically needed funds from our public schools to subsidize private and often religious schools that are not held to the same accountability standards. Families who choose private education have that right, but this choice should not come at the expense of public school students and educators. Our focus must remain on making Hamilton County public schools the best they can be. Together, we can fulfill the promise of public education for the students that we are all here to serve. I ask this board to stand with the 86 districts in Tennessee. Thank you. I had a little bit more, but I will stop there. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Wait, Miss Lennon, sorry. I'm sorry, just one quick question. Just one quick question. I'm going to reference you later as a part of our legislative team when you were on the board, so thank you again for your service. And also, so many of your nieces and nephews volunteer in our schools that I affectionately call you Aunt Kathy as well.
I know.
But a point of clarification, just to double check, you said 86 counties or
Yes.
districts. Is
Yes.
it 86 counties, or is it, because everybody knows there's 95 counties in Tennessee, but there's like 141 if you count all the special school districts.
And I could be wrong on that.
So it's either districts. That's fine.
Yes,
I can't
yes.
find that number either. So
I know,
appreciate it.
and it has changed because I just read the other day that 4 more school boards passed a resolution to not support the voucher, so I don't know what that number is
Okay.
right now.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's why I was asking, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
There's 141 with the special school districts. There's 95 counties.
Yes, thank you. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Thank you. Our last speaker of the evening, Ashley Gates.
Oh, thank you. My name is Ashley Gates. I'm here to discuss your policy 6.303, and that governs the interrogation of students by law enforcement officers while at school. The issue is personal for me and my family. Earlier this year, my child, a third grader at 8 years old, was interrogated by a sheriff's deputy after being reported for making a threat of mass violence. The alleged threat was just a made-up song about a popular video game, but he ended up in the principal's office being questioned by 2 uniformed officers. This has led to some ongoing emotional turmoil for my child. And as I'm sure you know, this isn't an isolated incident. 2 similar cases in Hamilton County have actually made national news. And in our case, the school followed the current policy, but this school board policy fails to protect students, especially exceptional education students. Exceptional ed students are disproportionately reported for making these threats of mass violence. Due to the state law, teachers and administrators are unable to use their sound judgment and knowledge of the students to assess these threats. They simply must call law enforcement. This makes it all the more important for the district's interrogation policies to have the safeguards to protect these students and their rights. For the accused students, the subsequent interrogation or arrest is scary. It's an experience that can permanently damage their sense of safety and belonging at school. Your current policy allows law enforcement to interrogate students during school hours with only an attempt to notify parents. Parents aren't required to be present, and there's no requirement to inform students of their constitutional rights. Other Tennessee districts have implemented stronger protections. For example, many require parental presence when an arrest is being considered, and require that students be read their constitutional rights, including the right to remain silent and the right to legal counsel. I urge the board to revise the policy to include these safeguards. In revising these policies, I hope that the district will consult with the public defender's office and not just the district attorney's office to ensure that the policy balances law enforcement needs with student rights. Many of these students involved in these cases, including my child, are autistic, neurodivergent, or have other disabilities. These students are more likely to struggle with communication, be misunderstood, or become targets of bullying. Sadly, the way the state law is written, bullies now have a very powerful tool that allows them to see that their targeted victim is arrested. After all, the threat just has to be reported, not validated, for law enforcement to begin investigating the accused student for felony charges. Of course, this board can't change the state law, but an update to policy 6.303 will at least protect the basic rights of the accused children. The bottom line is Hamilton County Schools has a situation where students that are in the district's care are being interrogated and arrested on felony charges multiple times per week. Confessions to felony charges are being extracted from children in their principal's office. These children aren't hardened criminals needing the book thrown at them. They're children. They're children that are in your care during the school day. If there's any hope that this state law will actually reduce violence, then these kids need someone in their corner, someone to look out for their rights. These children shouldn't be questioned by 3 adult authority figures, 2 in uniform with guns and badges, scared that they're about to go to jail for singing a song or saying the wrong thing, and not having a single familiar face in sight. This is the type of scenario, the type of trauma that when children experience it, it will lead to behavioral problems, to disrespect of law and authority, and could down the road lead to actual violence.
1 minute.
Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to seeing that the board takes the proper steps to better protect our students.
Thank you.
Next, we have presentations, just like Dr. Dunnan. Workforce Development and College Schools Network. You should have a packet at your seat.
All right, good evening, board members. Oh, sorry about that. board members, and our Hamilton County staff. For the first time ever, I had to raise this thing. Usually I have to lower it. I'm fortunate enough and honored enough to talk to you about workforce development in college schools tonight. Before I do, though, I did a little research. I got on the internet and I said, what has our board been talking about? Right? And after a quick search, 3 quotes popped up. And I thought these 3 quotes were really interesting because they all had something glaring in common. And it's the idea of best, right? And so no matter what district we serve, what backgrounds we have, I think there's all an agreement that we want to do what's best for kids. Best programs, best school districts, and I came here in 2012. So for some of you, I've never met you before. So I came in 2012 with my daughters to Hamilton County Schools, and I started the STEM school. Came to me and they said, hey, we've got this place, a broken down warehouse and some cubicle walls, and we're going to put it up and make a school. And I was like, sounds like a great idea. I'm on board. Let's do that. But the idea of best resonated with me right from the beginning, right? And this idea of what can we do, even from those humble beginnings, to create the best school in a region, the best school in the state, best school nationally, and even internationally. And from that work, it reminds me every day about our just cause, right? And so when I think of best, I actually wake up every morning and I think about what are we actually doing to help students thrive and experience this future without limits. So last year, I had the opportunity to begin working with multiple programs and schools that you may or may not be familiar with. So tonight, give you an opportunity to learn about some of these things. So 2012, the STEM school started, but since that time, there's been multiple programs and schools that have been begun, all typically in isolation. So last year was a first chance for me to get together and bring these together and say, what is our goal here? And what it comes down to is our goal was to transform the high school experience to something that could change kids' lives. Every single one of these programs and schools offers a different attribute or different way to do that. So I'll talk a little bit about a couple of them real quick, like just Collegiate High at the top. That's a place on Chattanooga State's campus that students in 9th grade begin to start taking college classes up to associate's degrees and more college hours before they go on and leave Hamilton County Schools. You have the Construction Career Center, an opportunity for upperclassmen to begin working with associated general contractors in industry, really learning the construction skills and getting hands-on experiences with employers. You've got Legacy Box. You've got a company that's now worldwide known for the work they do. We've got students there half a day working on academics, the other half a day getting paid to work at Legacy Box to learn those workplace skills. You've got mechatronics at Volkswagen, students that are actually at Volkswagen every single day in the Volkswagen Academy as part of that culture. They're earning 30+ college credit hours while in high school, and at the same time becoming sought after students by Volkswagen and other companies and colleges for what they've learned during that process. Polytech Academy, kids working on chemical engineering, computer information technology, mechatronics, 30+ 40 hours of college credit before they leave high school. And even something as new as last year, University High, that began predominantly students that are first generation college students on the University of Tennessee Chattanooga campus, taking college classes embedded in the campus culture every Friday, learning about a different program that exists on campus so they can find their passion and figure out how they fit into their future. So all these are transformational experiences that began working with last year and figuring out how do they connect, right? So we have the portrait of a graduate, and we can all agree if kids leave Hamilton County Schools with these 5 things, they're academically thriving, they're effective communicators, they're solutions oriented, everybody wins, right? So we looked at these specifically for those workforce development college schools and thought, how do we connect that to what's happening with these high interest programs with high schoolers? And what we came up with, there were 3 critical areas that every kid in the workforce development college schools network learns. Not only do they learn about academic skills, but they also learn about critical technical skills to be able to not only learn new technology, but how to learn new technology, as well as embed those essential skills we talked about, Portrait graduate, so they can be effective communicators, solutions-oriented students. So these are ways we started building this out. Now I give this setup to say, how does this fit with Future Ready? So I'm going to turn it over, and then I'm going to come back. We're going to make a connection for you on where we're going with connecting workforce development and college schools with our Future Ready initiatives. And I have the honor of turning it over to you, somebody you probably already know, Dr. Olivia Bagby. That's our awesome Future Ready Students Director.
Thank you, Tony. My name is Olivia Bagby, and I serve Hamilton County Schools as the Director of Future Ready Students. In my department, I oversee the elevation of the career and technical education programs, all of our Future Ready institutes, and a lot of our early post-secondary opportunities. What Tony is passing out has been a project of our departments that is highlighting all of our career and technical options that we have here in Hamilton County. What we wanted to make sure that we were doing at a very high level is giving students access and opportunity of all the great things that they can do in their career, while making sure that they are getting proper exposure to realizing that truly we can provide them an experience in a future without limits. Our core value of my department is that we want to provide all students the opportunity to find their career by choice, not by chance. And we believe doing so is through access and opportunity. And so this catalog was created as an opportunity for students to see all that Hamilton has to offer and where they can gain access to those programs. So if you actually, through Hamilton County's CTE programs, we offer Future Ready Pathways and Future Ready Institutes. Future Ready Pathways are going to be all of our CTE opportunities that we have historically offered, plus some in very high quality ways. We want to make sure that across the district, no matter what school you are zoned for or have access to, you are getting a high quality career focused opportunity. We are outside of the conversation of asking a student to choose career or college. We are moving towards the mindset of making sure every student has access to what they want to do when they grow up. We believe that college is a step towards career for some, and we want to make sure that they all understand their access and how to get to where they want to be in the end. We want to help students figure out what they want to be when they grow up and give them the opportunities to explore. These catalogs are also on every middle schooler's Chromebook through their ClassLink. So through those career exploration programs, like the one that you heard from the young gentleman today, they get to go through these programs and identify the opportunities through interest and aptitude surveys and connect them to the programs that we have here in Hamilton County. If you turn to the last page of the catalog, it describes all of our programs in Hamilton County by school. You can see that they note by the little F are the programs that are offered as a Future Ready Institute. That's going to be a career academy experience where they're cohorted and they move together as a cohort, or the Future Ready Pathways are categorized as a P. That give them the opportunity to take those CTE classes in sequential order over the four years, but also continue to take other classes that are offered at the high schools. We want to gain access, we want to gain opportunity, and we want to give students the opportunity to continue to explore.
All right, so let's talk about the connection. So there's a picture up there. That is Abigail. When Abigail was in 8th grade, she had an interest. She learned about different things, and she began to have this interest in construction and welding. She's like, this advanced manufacturing is really interesting to me. And Abigail was part of the Central High community. So when Abigail was in 8th grade, she's like, where am I going to go to high school? And she's like, well, there's a welding and construction at Sequoia, which is all the way on the other side of the river, and I could leave my community, which I want to be in my community. She also had this distinct interest of wanting to be a cheerleader. She's like, either I have to go across to look at a program that I'm interested in, or I have to choose and stay in my own community with where I want to be and my passion around cheerleading. Well, the story is not actually completely true, because one of your board members, Mr. Keene, had started something called the Harrison Bay Future Ready Center. And there were a couple pioneers, I like to call them, who thought, why are we thinking about having kids leave their school? Is there a way to bring kids together at a center, a centralized location from multiple schools, so they can still participate in the things they want to do and participate in the areas they have passion? Abigail is actually a junior now at Central High School. She's at Central High School. She's a cheerleader. She's pumped about her community, does a lot of things in her community, and she attends Harrison Bay Future Ready as part of her high school experience. She's even a tour guide if you ever go out to Harrison Bay Future Ready, and you'll learn how passionate she is about the construction industry. With this kind of thought process, we began thinking about, we have our Future Ready Institutes and our Future Ready Pathways, but how can we also expand to have Future Ready centers, centralized hubs that allow kids to be part of their zone school experience, to stay within their community, but still have access to high-end programming? So we began looking and we said, okay, we've got a center at Harrison Bay. And what I need you to know about Harrison Bay is it started with Ottawa and Central. This year, it also includes East Hamilton, because East Hamilton said, we want to participate. How do we get access to there for our students? From that work, so much so this year, just so you know, as you look at that, there's twice as many kids and families that want to be there than we actually have space. And even the mayor's office coming out and saying, this works. What can we do to support this financially? On the other side of the river, you have Soddy Daisy in the north, Hickson, and Red Bank. And all three of those schools came to the table and said, how can we create this kind of experience for us over here? So we have the Sequoia location that this upcoming year will have 9 opportunities to bring that together. There's 857 rising ninth graders that have all had a chance to experience, been talked to, come out to the school and talk about having this opportunity so they can begin to build this. And of course, we have a center that we've been talking about, our location downtown, that provides us another opportunity to make another one so that we can begin looking across our county, how do we make access available to kids no matter what zone high school you're at? This then would be a little bit of how you would see the workforce development in college schools potentially in the future. You would have future ready centers. You would have industry locations. Those are locations where kids are actually embedded in industry pieces. You would have places on college campuses where kids can embed and have those experience as well. So it provides a lot of opportunity and choice, but at the same time, a lot of interest in helping kids find their passions. The last thing I'll leave you with is we started with the best, right? Thinking about this concept of the best. And what we talk a lot about in the Workforce Development College Schools Network is if we create high school experience to transform lives, we're also going to transform the community. And that ultimately is what we want to do. We want to transform these kids' lives so that they become us, and we have the type of community that, just like I did in 2012, people want to come, bring their kids in, and participate part of. All right, well, thank you. And in front of you is I take no credit for that Pathways guide, Dr. Bagby and her group, unbelievable job. I did put a little flyer in there to give you a little bit more information about the 10 college schools and workforce development, just so you have something for yourself if you want to know more information about those. But we'll leave it at that unless it have any questions?
Miss Haddon, yeah, Ben, you talking or you not talking? Police and then B.
Okay, I just want to commend you all on a terrific job. I think I taught at Ottawa High for 20 years, and I had students who would, spend the half the day at Ottawa, get on a bus, spend the other half, and they'd come back and forth. And it's just so motivating for those students. And I've heard parents say, that's why my kid likes to go to school, is because of some of the programs. And specifically, that one was at Harrison Bay. And I think it's amazing what we're doing. And I'm thrilled that, they have more job prospects. So just keep up the good work is what I have to say.
I want to echo that. I say it all the time. My wife went to a comprehensive high school, and when you have the opportunity to both go to school and be a part of your community, to cheer like the young lady, to be on the basketball team, and simply, it's something that Chris Tillett has said a bunch, principal at Red Bank, is it's not algebra getting them up in the morning to come to school. And it's their sense of community and belonging. And if their sense of community is welding, then that's even something else that they can do and still be a member of the Red Bank community, Red Bank High School. And it's just, I can't say enough good things about this program and getting our children ready. So thank you. Thank you.
Mr. King.
And the last thing that wasn't mentioned, so I'll mention it, a huge difference in graduation rate for the students that attend Future Ready programs versus not, because they want to be there.
I just want to ask a question. This guide, is this available online and in grocery stores and beauty shops? The reason why I'm asking that is because, and some people on this dais have said this, we need more tech in our schools. If we get any more tech in our schools, we're going to have a phone book from back in the day, yellow pages, white pages. Like, we have tech in our school. We have career, technical education, vocation, workforce development, work-based learning. The list goes on and on in our schools. And this is proof of that right here. Like, if anybody takes the time to look through, like, this is amazing. I've seen this, but this is amazing how they break it down. A third grader could understand what we do in the pathway process. And so the reason why I'm asking that is that because I do think the community needs to know that, because I would love to just, maybe in the year that I'm not running for school board and somebody runs for my seat, like, I think I'm going to just like cringe if I hear the person say, oh, we need more tech in our schools. I'm going to say, where have you been for the last 12 years? But I think that's very important that people know that what's available to them, so that we don't,
So the project of the Pathways Guide actually started as a resource to be used in the career exploration class for those middle schoolers. So it's a digital catalog on every middle school Chromebook that they can access through ClassLink. We did print a handful of copies that you all have tonight that we use in community conversations when we're talking about it. If we would want to print larger scale, we'll talk during budget season.
I think we should talk through budget season.
That is we want to continue. We also purposely called that magazine, you see on it says Volume 1. Yeah. Our intention is to continue to update as we update.
Right. Go ahead.
I also attended your showcase that you had at the old Cigna building. And I was amazed at some of the, programs that you offer, including the nursing at the Hickson High School. And so I assume that's going to be a yearly thing that you do?
We always hope so. School choice is a big part of how we provide access to our students, and they can follow their interests through those programs. And so while not in the school choice department, I would imagine that will continue to be accessed. But we do see Future Ready Institutes, just historically, Future Ready Institutes was actually Hamilton County's first play at school choice. They were the first programs that we offered outside of the magnet lottery, was for a student to apply to go outside of their zone through the opportunity of the Future Ready Institute desire, transportation, and all of those things aside. We have no intention, at least I do not have any intention of changing up those opportunities. We want to expand on them.
And that was well attended, and I'm proud of our district for taking the lead on this.
Mr. King.
So I will tell you this, we in our Chamber of Commerce planning session, the New Year's theme is workforce development and workforce retention, and I gave them your names and numbers, so the different chambers are going to be contacting you all. You guys did a great job for our chamber. Thank you.
Okay. Other matters. Discussion on Orchard Knot Middle, Thrasher, and Normal Park considerations.
Vice Chair Jones, you guys have a copy of this in front of you. This is a follow-up from last month in regards to the next steps with facilities. So we're recommending moving forward with 3 architects to start evaluating 3 different buildings. I'm going to point you to them each individually. Normal Park Upper, Lower, Franklin Architects. We've talked about this being a priority, and with the changes at Gateway with CCA, we need to get a better understanding of the condition of both the lower school and upper school to give us options with the intent of moving to a K through 12 campus as we had planned at CCA. We also see the opportunity after that study to make some additional recommendations around options for students at Normal Park. Second one, Thrasher Elementary. Again, we see this as a priority need moving forward in terms of the capacity of elementary seats on Signal Mountain. The main purpose here is really to look at 2 things. Number one, to see if there is a place on that campus that would be usable for an addition, and then also to evaluate the existing building to make sure that it is in good enough shape for us to start upgrading and you know, putting it back to where we would claim it's in good condition. The final one is Orchard Knob Middle. This one's a little bit different because we have on the agenda here in a little bit recommendation to upgrade the HVAC system there, which we desperately need, but we need to also make sure that this building, again, is worth investing money in before we go about a $6 million upgrade to the HVAC system. See the three architects there. We estimate the cost to be somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000 per architect. As we agreed upon last month, this won't go over $100,000. We will bring you updates as we have them from each of these architects on the projects, and I've spoken to Ms. Thomas, Mr. Doherty, and Mr. Connor about this. Reiterate to all of you, if there's more information you want as we go through, we'll make that available as needed, and of course engage with the appropriate board member in each district to be a part of the process. Any questions?
Oh, Mr. Daugherty.
Thank you, Rita. Just one question. So on Orchard Knob, the scenario is that needs a new chiller, right? Needs a new system.
Yeah, on the $60 million deferred maintenance, there's a $6 million request to redo the entire HVAC system.
But it is functional right now to an extent, right? Like
Yes, but
okay. It's old.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So the question is, like, do we make that investment on that, or do we look at like doing something more long term for it?
Exactly right.
Okay. Just want to make sure I'm on the same
Yeah.
page.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. Any other questions? These beans got me. I'm so being Connor. That's why I didn't think it was you, because I saw bean. I didn't look at the last name. Go ahead.
Thank you. This is a great step, looking into making sure that these buildings are feasible. Obviously, it's another step in our facilities process, but it's something that's been a long time coming for District 6, and so you know, it's been in every different facilities conversation that the quote-unquote experts have had down to the boots on the street. So I'm excited to take one more step of making sure that we're being the best for our kids. I'll reiterate best, so being the best for our kids. So thank you.
Next is a discussion of the ESS contract.
Yes, Vice Chair, I've got Dr. Zach Brown, Chief Talent Officer here. He's got representatives from ESS to give an overview of our agreement with ESS, steps that they're taking around hiring, vetting, all those things. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Brown.
Okay,
Right.
and you should have a packet for that as well.
Yeah, thank you, members of the board, Superintendent Robertson. I'm going to ask our guest ESS representatives to come up. I've asked them to just share, just for a few minutes, the services they provide to Hamilton County Schools, but also they will entertain any questions you might have. Just so you know about our contract, we signed a new contract, RFP, back in 2022. We are on a 3-year mutual renewal agreement, and so we're in our second year. So we have one more year remaining on our RFP that we can have a mutual agreement for school year 25-26. But I can answer more questions for you if needed in just a moment. But I'm going to turn it over to Mr. DeMarco, and I'll allow you to introduce your team, okay? All right. Steve, you got a slide deck?
Okay. Well, good afternoon or good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Mike DeMarco. I run the South Central region for ESS. With me, I have my local team. I have Mary Davis, who is local. She's our VP of Operations, local to Chattanooga. We have Elizabeth Newby, who's our local manager, and we have Austin Parks, who's our recruiter that are dedicated to Chattanooga and Hamilton County. Also have Matt Strunk, who's our business development manager, who happens to be local and attending tonight. Do we have the presentation?
Well, we do have it.
You do have it?
We actually have it.
Oh,
We do
okay,
it.
okay,
The
I'm
day is,
sorry.
we have it
All
while
right,
they're
great,
pulling it
great,
up there. We
great.
do
So
have a
I'll
copy.
just keep going in the sake of time. So just to kind of give a quick overview on the first slide, who ESS is. I know it's been quite a few years since we presented to you all, and I know some of you are new to the board, so it's a good opportunity for us to at least introduce who we are. So we are the largest provider of K through 12 services. We're in over 900 districts across the country. We have about 17 districts specifically in Tennessee, very concentrated in the Nashville area and east. Our premier districts are obviously Hamilton County and Knox County. So we appreciate the partnership there. We are headquartered in Knoxville, so our CEO, CFO, C-suite does sit in Knoxville office. They bleed orange. So they're definitely big football fans. So some of the services that we provide, we do not only daily substitutes, but we also do full-time paraprofessionals as well as nurses and SLPs, speech language pathologists. Within Hamilton County, we do your daily substitutes, long terms, and we also provide some speech language pathologists, which we started out last year. I'm going to turn it over to Mary Davis. So she is going to get into the numbers and talk about some of our performance and what we've been doing as far as recruiting and things of that sort. You go, Mary. Looks like it's up.
Lost a bracelet. Thank you. I definitely need my slides.
David, you may need to advance it for.
I can go off the cuff, but I've got a lot of numbers on my slide, so I'm great at performing, but I'd love for y'all to see the numbers. Thank you. Thank you. Alrighty, so we are looking at slide number 4 right now. What you guys are going to be looking at is going to be a fill rate comparison from the entire 5 years that we have been together. So if you look all the way at the bottom, we're going to start at 2021, which was the first full school year that we were able to work with y'all. If you looked at that filled section, that's going to be the number of substitutes that we had in your schools for the entire school year. That next column is going to be your average
Speak
daily
into the mic
substitute.
for me if you can.
I'm sorry?
Just make sure to speak into the mic for me if you can.
Absolutely.
Or you can take it out if you need to kind
I
of
know,
walk
you can
us
see
off.
my hands. I had to put them in my pocket.
Okay.
So then we also show you the average daily subs that we put into the classroom every day. The number all the way over to the right is the one that you guys are most likely used to hearing about, the one that Dr. Brown brings to the board most often. That's going to be our fill rate, okay? So if you noticed, all the way down at the bottom, we're going to go back to average daily subs. In 2021, we started with average daily subs every day in your school district of 99 per day. Last year, at the end of 23-24, we closed out with an average of 239 subs per day. Again, if we go all the way over to the right to that fill rate, that number that you guys are hearing about, that's going to be the number of the number of substitutes in schools compared to the number of teachers that are out. So when we first started our first full school year, we had a 58% fill rate. Within the last 5 years, we've been able to increase that by 12%. The bonus program instituted in fall 2021 was a big help with that. So we were able to close out 23-24 school year with a 73% fill rate. I am also happy to let you guys know that for fall 2024, we have been able to close out with a 79% fill rate compared to last fall with a 75% fill rate. Now, most of y'all are probably going to be a little bit more interested in your learning communities, if I had to guess. So our next slide is going to talk about the same thing. The numbers filled, that's going to be the number of substitutes that are in your schools each day. Oh, I got the right thing. I appreciate that. Number of subs that are going to be in your schools each day, average daily number of subs, and then our fill rates. Now, if you look at the fill rates, you can see very clearly where we need to work on. We need to work on Midtown and Missionary Ridge. So the biggest thing that we're going to look at with our numbers is how can we increase fill rates? Because that's telling us that we have students, we have classes that need assistance. So really what we did at the end of the 2020-2021 school year, we sat down with Dr. Brown and we showed him that our subs work an average of 1 day per week. And he challenged us saying, we need more subs working more days per week. So he really wanted that needle moved, and the number that we were looking at was 3 days per week. So what we did was we came together with ideas on how can we move that needle. And we did so with our bonus program. So we offer bonuses to our subs in the amount of $30 to $200 per week, depending on how many days they work and what schools they work in. Now, we have them differentiated between hard-to-fill schools and non-hard-to-fill schools. You can see on the slide there the schools listed that are hard to fill. A hard-to-fill school can be a school that is a geographical location. So Hamilton County is a very large county. It could be an outlier. It could be on a mountain. It could be a traffic. If anybody's ever driven around Chattanooga, we know that we got some traffic issues. It could also be a high teacher vacancy. It could be high teacher absences. In the end, what our company looks at with Dr. Brown is we look at the low fill rates and how we can best improve approved those. I'm happy to say that in fall 2021, when Dr. Brown did bring this to us, that we had our substitutes averaging 1 day per week. We have just finished out fall 2023 with our 3rd consecutive semester of our substitutes averaging 3 days per week, so I am happy to say that the bonus program does work. Another thing that we also do to bring in our people, we have initiatives and incentives not only for our applicants but for our employees. So initiatives for our applicants, we will pay for out-of-pocket expenses for them. So after they work for us, after we get them hired on, after they work for us X amount of days, we will reimburse them for their funds. Once they get involved with us and they are hired by us and they start working, they're going to be paid every date by the district rate. Every week by the district rate. We also offer healthcare, vision, dental, life insurance, 401k. We offer corporate nationwide incentives as well as district-specific incentives, as well as recognition programs. 2 of them that I would like to highlight is our Employee of the Month nationwide. Hamilton County last year had 2, January 2024 and April of 2024. The other big thing that we do, giving back to the community, is our art contest that is nationwide. Faith Dan at the Chattanooga School for Arts won twice in our high school career, receiving $500 for herself and $500 to the school. Each year, ESS does run that contest, and we're really hoping that we get another winner this year out of Hamilton County. The other thing that also we bring to the table is we hire and we engage the subs. So how do we bring our substitutes in? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to advertise. We're going to advertise through Indeed, LinkedIn, social media, and on your school district's website. Once those applications come in a digital manner, we're going to take a look at those. We're going to give our applicants information on how to submit to the Hamilton County Schools background check. After they submit to that background check, they're then going to be registered for an interview with our recruiter and hiring specialist, Austin Parks. Once we received that background check back from Hamilton County Schools for their background check, ensuring that it is cleared, we then rotate into our online training modules, and then we finish out the application process by a 2-hour virtual or in-person orientation by our district on-site manager, Elizabeth Newby. After we get people hired on, we like to help them finding their first 5 jobs. Let's get their feet wet, let's get them interested, and let's get them getting out into the school. One of the biggest things I would like to note about Hamilton County is 36% of your applicants come from word of mouth. So Hamilton County is a very strong community and very much enthralled in each other as they're expressing interest about our jobs. We are actively working with 208 applicants. We average in fall 2024, there were 799 substitutes that worked in fall of 2024. Our goal is to get 900 substitutes working. Now, how do we keep track of those numbers? Well, one thing that we do is we ensure that our substitutes are active. So a substitute must work 4 days per month, otherwise they become inactive. Now, that's going to be after phone calls and reminders, and we will inactivate them. Last year, we inactivated 272 subs due to not working, and Hamilton County Schools hired 89 of our subs. So how do we overcome that? We average 500 hires per year since we started the contract with y'all, and I'm happy to say that for fall 2024, we are indeed ahead of that bar with hiring 360. Now, with having over 250 substitutes out in the field, we're going to experience incidents and encounter them. We're aware of that, and we know that y'all are aware of that as well. We are here to tell you that we handle those, and we've been consistently doing so. We have a corporate HR team, so if an incident occurs, an administrator will submit through our online portal. That is then the corporate HR team is aware of it, the local Hamilton County HR team, as well as our local ESS team. Then the substitute is contacted. That substitute is either going to have a discussion, a warning, retraining, or they could be blocked or terminated depending on the incident severity. Again, we told you that we brought our local team here, and I'm just wrapping it up with what questions do you have for us, and is there anything else that we can do for y'all? I know there was a 5-minute presentation for a 5-year relationship.
Any questions?
How much longer is your contract again? I was listening, did he say you're in your 3rd year or 2nd year?
Through the end, it's through the end of next year.
In the next year, okay. That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Slater?
What percentage of the application process, what percentage of them are in person?
the application process.
Yeah.
It really depends on the technology standards, and we rotate through. So we'll have hiring events. We do have some applicants that are very speedy with their technology and are able to go through that. We have hiring events person to person. We do interviews person to person or virtual, as well as our orientations.
But you didn't answer my question.
I did not. I just remember you said percentage. I did not give you that.
What percent is in person?
25%.
It's not enough.
We will work on increasing that.
Any other questions? Okay. Committee chair updates?
Thank you.
Madam Chair, before we move on, I want to be sure that we're clear on something.
Okay.
So while the arrangement is through the end of next year, Dr. Brown pointed out that we're now in year-to-year extensions. So we have a 90-day window to renew or not renew. So our current arrangement, our current contract ends June 30 of this year. If we do not choose to renew, then we have to give notice 90 days out. But so we continue to go forward, but I just want to be clear, the board is in the renewal phase right now.
Okay, so we will have to decide.
If we want to opt out, we have to let them know. So the way it reads is there's a renewal right now, but if we wanted to opt out, and I'm not saying that we should, I'm pointing out that we are in a year-to-year arrangement. So before April 1, the board would have to act, and what that would mean is that the board would have to have some other plan, obviously. But I just want to be clear that the total arrangement ends next year, but we do have a narrow window where if the board wanted to do something else, you could.
Okay.
Again, I'm not making that suggestion. I just want to be clear. Dr. Brown said that we are in a year-to-year phase, and he was correct about that.
Okay, Mrs. Haddon.
Yeah, and I would just like to know, what changes might be made, maybe more in-person interviews, because we've had an incident, one last year and one this year, that upset a lot of our public.
Okay, so Dr.
May I address you?
Right. So I was going to say Dr. Robertson and his team was trying to address. So go ahead.
Yeah, I just want the board to know, because I didn't say it earlier, from our standpoint, from HR standpoint, ESS has been a great partner, and I will say that I'm in constant communication with them, with their staff, with our principals. They're very nimble and flexible, and so if there's things that the board would like for us to incorporate, ESS has been a great partner over the last few years, so I'm confident that we can do what's best. We want to make sure that we have the right people in front of our kids, right? And so I just want the board to know that I'm pleased with ESS services as of now. One, because they've got great people working for them, but they are just great partners. And so I just want to make sure the board was able to hear me express that.
And it does sound like they've done a lot of really good things, and there are a lot of people that they employ, and the incentives with the bonuses. And I know that's a very tough job, and it looks like our daily rate isn't more than doubled over the past few years, which to me, I was looking at, an issue of why are we needing so many more subs than we did before. But if there's something that they can let us know, like how did a couple of these issues fall through the cracks, and what might we just do differently in the future? And thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Dr. Robertson, you was going to say something?
No, ma'am, just before you go on, need Dr. Stewart to point out some things that we gave to you, so.
Okay, absolutely.
Thank you. So we wanted to bring to you some things that are kind of in response to things we heard last week or in previous board meetings, or things that you guys have asked us to investigate. And so what you have in front of you, you have 5 different documents. One is around dyslexia. I know that you guys heard a lot of information, or there was some dialogue around dyslexia. I wanted to give you guys information on what we have done and how we respond to that, say, dyslexia law. The second document is on early post-secondary opportunities. This comes, Felice, this comes straight from you when you were talking about the IB concerns, and I mentioned that we would show the EPSO increases, and so that's what you'll see here, how those early post-secondary opportunities are continuing.
Hold on one second, Dr. Stewart. These items, board members, are in the Hamilton County folder, in the right pocket.
Sorry. It's my mistake.
Okay, I'm sorry. I should have said that. No, I should have said that.
I should have heard all the paper going. I'm so sorry. Yeah, they're inside.
So no, you're fine. But yeah, it's in the right hand flap of your folder.
Great, thanks, Karitza. So dyslexia, post-secondary opportunities. Then there was some discussion around IT and the filters and the computer and the use of tech. So you'll see that there as well. This document was composed by IT and our teaching and learning. So you can see kind of a one-pager there on what's happening in our IT space. Then the other two documents that you have that are on your cardstock, this is more standard. You will always get strategic plan updates from us, and these are two singular initiatives on our strategic plan. You'll always get updates like that. But the other three were just in response to conversations that we've had here on the board floor that I wanted to provide some more information on.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Committee chair reports, finance.
Yeah, so my goal is to have a working session next month. In the meantime, though, my goal also is to get input from you guys just individually, whether it's call or coffee or something to that effect, just to better understand what's important to you all, what's important to your district, what's important to your principals and teachers within each respective district that we represent. So the goal is to kind of get that ball rolling starting in January after the holidays.
Okay. Facilities.
Yeah, we will have a meeting either the first week of February or at the latest the second week of February. We have a couple RFPs we'll discuss, and by then, Dr. Sharp, we should have the candidates leading in those areas. So it'll be, I'll get with the superintendent either the first Monday or the second Monday in February.
Policy, facilities. Policy.
Ms. Schaefer hear us? Jody, can you hear us?
I can. Hello all. So our next meeting is in March. We had a policy meeting last week and our next meeting is in March.
Okay, thank you. Legislative.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. So although we will be talking about the legislative agenda in our meeting, I did want to clarify one thing that came through a couple of emails. They were talking about the timing of the legislative thing. So the reason that we're doing the legislative agenda at this time is because the Tennessee General Assembly will be going into session before our next meeting in January. So the legislative agenda will always come before the board in the November, December months to talk about and make sure that we're on the same page and we have passed something to take through to our legislative representatives before they go into session. So I just wanted to make sure that people knew that was the timing of it. We're not trying to sneak something in the Christmas time holiday spirit. So look forward to the legislative agenda talk later, and starting in January, all my good updates about what's going on in the Tennessee General Assembly.
Fun times. Mr. Grown, Transportation.
Dr. Sharp and Brendan and Alan and I have met once. We're going to probably be meeting again probably the second week, I don't know, a couple of weeks. We're just starting the initial phases. I personally have planned several meetings with both owners and drivers, and I'll be also on a program of everybody will be seeing me around all the schools because I'm going to probably ride at least 2 routes on a majority of our schools during this period of time. So there's been, you saw and we went over what their committee came up with. There's been no response to our counter. So this is all in the very beginning stages. And I'll probably give you an update before our January meeting.
Okay, sounds good. Next on our work session agenda, we have the discussion of the board meeting agenda. However, I would like to note that it is now 6:03. And board meeting typically starts at 6:03. I will defer to the pleasure of the body. However, I would like to offer that we take a break, a 5-minute break, and resume back to start regular board meeting. And if anybody has anything they'd like to discuss or pull at that time, we could just do it in the actual board meeting for the sake of time. All in favor? No, I'm saying. No, we're not voting for real. Okay. We're going to take, sorry, y'all, we can't vote. But we're going to take a 5-minute recess, and we'll be back.